Vertical pushing is one of the 4 key movement patterns that we must develop to build well-rounded strength in the upper body. The other 3 patterns include vertical pulling, horizontal pulling, and horizontal pushing. Each one of these movements typically has one headline exercise that generally allows us to train the muscles involved in that pattern in an effective and scalable way. But when it comes to bodyweight training, it's 2 exercises actually that dominate the vertical pushing space: dips and variations of the handstand push-up. This in turn raises the question of which of them is best. So today we're going to dive into exactly that. Let's get into it. How you doing, Cali Crowd? Welcome back to the channel that makes calisthenics simple. To start with, let's be absolutely clear on what exercises we are talking about, because people do perform dips and handstand push-ups with a lot of variation. For the sake of this discussion, we'll discount any form of dip that includes any forward lean or piking. And just for completeness, we're going to assume we're doing dips on parallel bars instead of rings or on a straight bar. In the case of the handstand push-up, we'll go with a chest-to-wall handstand push-up and all of its progressions, such as pike and advanced pike push-ups. So we'll not consider the back-to-wall handstand push-ups or handstand push-ups in free space. With that in mind, let's compare the muscles worked in the dip versus the handstand push-up. With dips, we have an elbow dominant pushing exercise where the extension at the elbow is driven by the chest and the triceps. Yes, we'll have to create stability in the shoulders too, and they will be worked, but it is the chest and triceps that will be doing the lion's share of the heavy lifting. With handstand push-ups, the triceps will still play a role, but this is very much a shoulder dominant exercise where we aim to push deep into shoulder flexion at the top of each rep. For this reason, the delts, traps and rhomboids feature a lot in this movement, and it's not uncommon to see hand balances with extremely defined upper backs. So already we can see that these 2 vertical pushing exercises do slightly different things, so we're not comparing apples with apples here. But let's talk about how accessible each of these exercises are. With the dip, scaling down is relatively simple. By introducing a band, almost anybody at any level can perform a dip to some degree, and if you want to make the dip harder, adding weight through a dip belt is simpler still. The handstand push-up, however, does not boast this advantage. Pike push-ups, commonly the initial progression to the handstand push-up, can present even experienced athletes with a significant challenge. Many struggle with piking at the hip to get weight over the shoulders in a way that correct form dictates. And as if that wasn't enough, if you lack the shoulder mobility needed to get your hands overhead without arching your back, you end up cheating yourself out of range of motion, a problem that the dip just does not have. Assuming we get over this hurdle though, handstand push-ups can be progressed to advanced handstand push-ups, where we introduce a deficit, thereby increasing the range of motion. This jump is not for the faint-hearted though, and generally, the steps between all the handstand push-up progressions are going to be larger than the ones for the dip. When it comes to application for calisthenic skills, both of these exercises do have their place. Dips and the ability to throw silly weight on a belt makes it a fantastic exercise for building holistic pushing strength, but we cannot escape from the said principle: specific adaptation to imposed demands. And the more advanced our goals become, the more specific and more tailored our training needs to be. If our goals include skills like the muscle up, dips will translate very well to this. But equally, it doesn't take a genius to understand that if we want to become better at overhead pressing, we need to do more overhead pressing exercises. And so if your goals include any aspects of handstands or handstand push-ups, dips will only take you so far. For those who are interested in gains, what you'll really want to know though is which of these 2 exercises builds more muscle. As we mentioned earlier, while the general broad muscle groups are the same in both exercises, how the individual muscles are worked exercise to exercise varies quite a lot. If you're after seriously growing your chest and triceps, the dips will certainly be where you want to place your focus. But that being said, overhead pressing isn't a movement that we tend to do day to day. So if your hypertrophy goals are more general, doing handstand push-ups will deliver rounded gains in the shoulder flexors, so the delts, the traps, the rhomboids, while still allowing for tricep and chest gains. A big caveat here though goes back to accessibility, because in order to get the necessary rep range in order to hit those hypertrophy goals, 5, 6, 7, 8 reps, while you might find that achievable with the dip, getting that with handstand push-ups will be challenging even for the most advanced calisthenics athletes. This may be a lot for us to get our head around, and I'd actually be remiss to say go away and just do both, especially if you include handstand push-ups and dips in a routine that already includes an exercise like push-ups. Many just may not have the time or recovery capacity for this. So if you do only have the capacity to do one of these exercises, let me give you some stuff to think about when it comes down to choosing which one you should do. If you're new to bodyweight training and you just want to get stronger generally at pushing, or you just want to slap on serious size onto the triceps and chest, then consider the dip as your initial port of call. In terms of correct form, dips are far easier to execute and so have a lower barrier to entry for beginners or those looking to just go to the moon with the weight you can slap onto them. If you're after holistic muscle gains across all the muscles involved with vertical pushing, or if your goals include anything relative to handstands, or you just want to use bodyweight training to maybe place a little bit more emphasis on targeting the shoulders and that's where you want to build muscle, then handstand push-ups are where it's at. With either option, I'd still stress that horizontal pushing should still play a big role in your training to complement both of these. But guys, I want to know what you personally think. Which of these do you prefer? Handstand push-ups or dip? I personally include both of these exercises in my training, and if you want to see how I go about doing that, then check out this video.